Hello everybody! In today's video, we're going to be looking at our 3 versions of Thomas the Tank Engine. All these Thomas the Tank engines are made by Bachmann and their HO scale. We'll also take a look at Annie and Clarabel. Okay, so we're going to start off with the Thomas that has been popularized by many books and the TV series Shining Time Station, which aired in our household all during the 90s. And that's really what got us into model railroading, really. And I'll be honest, I enjoyed Shining Time Station mostly because Alec Baldwin and Ringo Starr and George Carlin played Mr. Conductor. At any rate, Thomas was the central main character in all of the books and the TV shows. So let's take a detailed look at Thomas. All of the locomotives in the Thomas series were based off of real locomotives from history. And Thomas is based off the London, Brighton, and South Coast Railway E2 class 060 steam locomotive. Now there were 10 of these built between 1913 and 1916, and all of them were withdrawn between the years 1961 and 1963. The E2 class locomotives were used mainly for shunting and short trips, because their small coal bunkers made their range very limited. So let's take a look at Thomas in some detail. Okay, so let's work from the bottom to the top as we take a look at Thomas here. So as we said earlier, he's an 060 steam locomotive, which means that he has no leading wheels. He has 6 drive wheels and no trailing wheels. 060. He'd have 3 wheels on each side. That accounts for the 6 wheels. His wheels are painted in nice blue. That's probably blue plastic molded in there versus paint, but on a real engine that would be paint. And he's got nice linkage here between his 3 drive wheels. Working up here, he's got nice step up here into the cab. There's red paint along the side of the decking. The top of the decking is gray, which you'll just see in a bit here. And in the back, he's got his buffers, hook and loop coupler, and a little utility hook that you might see you'll get a better look at when we take a look at the back. Again, kind of working our way up, you can see up front here, there's a little fender for the wheel, kind of a wheel well there for the that front drive wheel. He's got a lot of nice pinstriping along his structure. So there's some pinstriping on that wheel well, kind of fenderish structure there. He's got some red pinstriping along the tank. And he's got red pinstriping along the coal bunker. He's got this plastic window here. That's not a see-through window, that's just black plastic. But it's got a nice yellow trim for that, and also this little oval window here. Nice yellow trim there. As we move up here, you can see these are the water tanks on the side, and you can see the little filler cap up here. Then you can see the boiler kind of coming over the, rising up above those tanks, and it's got some strapping, red strapping along the top. There's a steam dome, chimney, and some whistles there that you can see in profile, but we'll see those a little bit better as we move forward. And then we have some lanterns on the front deck and some front buffers there. Thomas does not have a front hook and loop coupler. Most of the Bachmann, Thomas series engines that we look at have a front hook and loop coupler, but Thomas does not. Okay, as we move further back here, you can see the coal bunker right behind the cab and the black roof. It's got a slight arch to it. And so that's Thomas from the side profile. Let's give him a turn. Okay, looking at the back of Thomas, we have we'll work from bottom to top here. We got the hook and loop coupler, the buffers here with the black painted ends or pads, little airline, utility hook, and a rear lamp. That's a non-functioning lamp, but that would be what that structure would be in real life. And then just the back wall of the coal bunker. And then maybe just peeking over here, you can see the yellow trim of the porthole windows, the coal bunker and the coal load there in the back, and then the black slightly arched roof. All right, let's give it a turn. All right, so looking at Thomas from the other side, this is a mirror image of the opposite side, so there's no differences here between this side and the opposite side. Same pinstriping, same number one, same window configuration on the cab. The other thing I forgot to mention while we were looking at the paint scheme on the opposite side was, while the tanks and most of the boiler is blue, the front of the boiler and the chimney is obviously painted black. And then you got a nice little slope of the decking right here as it comes down to the front. All right, let's give it another turn. All right, and saving the best for last, we got the front view of Thomas here showing his smiling face. So working from top to, or bottom to top, you'll see here we've got the buffers, utility hook on that red bumper, which is nice. We have a lantern here on this side, and then we have the two remaining lantern posts going across the bumper there, which is a nice detail. And then we've got some structures here coming down off of that sloping deck. And then of course we've got Thomas's smiling face here. And one of the things about these Bachmann HO is that those eyes will traverse back and forth as he's moving along the track. Now we're going to take a look at the paint schemes on our other two Thomas HO locomotives here. And those also, the eyes traverse on those as well. You may have seen those in other videos. We featured those before, but we've just never shown all our Thomas together. So, anyway. All right, so we got the black chimney. We've got the water tanks on either side of the boiler. We've got, as we're working back here, you can see the porthole windows in the front of the cab with the yellow outline. You can't see it from here, I don't think. From the camera view here, but there are a couple of whistles back there, but we'll see those from another angle. And you might be able to see the top of the filler caps, but we'll see that from our top angle. And you've got your slightly arched roof there on the top. All right, let's bring it around full circle. All right, let's take a look at the top and the bottom. Okay, looking at our top view here, you can see, again, the black boiler, the chimney, but from the top here you can see the red kind of strapping across the top of the boiler. You can see the fill caps on the water tanks on either side of the boiler, and the steam dome there right pretty much in the center of the boiler, and then you can see the tops of the train whistles here, and and then the black curved roof and the coal in the coal bunker, which is pretty cool. Now these Thomas models don't have a ton of detail, so there's no interior view of the cab or anything like that, but they really do the job kind of depicting the character from the books and from the TV shows. So let's go ahead and take a look at the bottom. All right, so taking a look from the bottom here, there's not a ton of detail. You can see, if you look up in here, you can see the linkage on the wheels there. The deck on the bottom is gray, so you actually have a nice look at the different pieces there with the contrasting colors. But there's the Bachmann logoing down there. There's some screws that you can remove to get into that motor compartment if you need to do any servicing, oiling, or anything like that. You can see the hook and loop coupler back there, little spring in there, pretty delicate stuff, really. Just to give you a look at the bottom. So, all right, there you go. All right, and there is the original Thomas. Okay, so next up is Celebration Thomas. Now, we're not going to go into the same level of detail that we did with the original Thomas because structurally, all of these H.O. Bachmann Thomas models are exactly the same. Really, the only difference is cosmetics. So here, Celebration Thomas's paint job is a metallic blue that looks like it's about a shade or two darker than the original Thomas. And then the other difference is that it has the flags draped across the back of or the side of the coal bunker and along the side of the water tanks. And those flags are a kind of a purple, orange, and yellow. They look a little Mardi Gras-y, really. So anyway, let's give this Thomas a spin and show everybody what it looks like. Okay, so there you have it. There's Celebration Thomas. Now, one thing I want to mention before we move on is that you currently cannot get this Celebration Thomas, at least brand new. You might be able to get it on eBay or something like that, but this was just a limited run model, and it came out somewhere around 2015. So anyway, all right. Okay, next up is the LBSC version of Thomas. And one of the things you'll want to notice here, almost right off the bat, is that he's not number 1 in this model, he's number 70. So as we mentioned earlier, the Thomas is based off of the E2 class 060 steam engine, and it was run by the London, Brighton, and South Coast Railway. So that's why you have the LBSC. London, Brighton, South Coast. The other remarkable feature here on this version of Thomas is that he has a green paint job, and it's really a nice, kind of a nice looking green, really. This is actually probably my favorite out of the three, to be honest with you. I really like the green, the LBSC. There's a little kind of degree of authenticity here, and kind of true to the original Thomas the original locomotive that this was based off of. So anyway, let's give this a spin so you can check out this version of Thomas. All right, and there you have it. That is the LBSC version of Thomas the Tank Engine, number 70. All right, so our three Thomases are going to be pulling Annie and Clarabelle out on the layout. So let's give Annie and Clarabelle a quick look here. So Annie and Clarabelle are the coaches that Thomas would typically pull in the TV show and in the books. So Annie and Clarabelle are passenger coaches, and as you can see here, they have kind of this brown color exterior here. They each have 4 doors on each side. They have some gray decking down here, and they are 2-axle coaches. You can tell them apart because one says Annie and one says Clarabelle in kind of a script font. And we have some plastic windows there. The roof is gray and it's got rows of vents on it. Yeah, there's not a ton of detail on these, but they're pretty good looking coaches there. The bottom here of the trucks have the suspension detail and that type of thing. Yeah, they certainly do the job. They're certainly true to the to the reference material. So yeah, pretty good. All right, let's give them a turn. Okay, so on this end, we're looking at Annie's face. So Annie looks a little bit worried here, as you can tell by the facial expression. But looking here, we've got a slightly arched roof. We have these windows that have the kind of the slanted tops to them, which is kind of a cool detail. Again, Annie's face, we have a hook and loop coupler and 2 buffers. So let's give it a turn. Okay, so we're looking at the other side of Annie and Clarabelle here. Really just a exact copy or mirror image of the opposite side. You got your 4 doors. All of these are non-functional. They're just kind of stamped and molded into the plastic. You've got the kind of script font here for Annie and Clarabelle. The door handles on the doors are painted, which is a nice detail. And the gray decking and the gray trucks. Yeah, so not too much to add with this side of the coaches. And now we're looking at the Clarabelle face end of the coach. So this is Clarabelle, this is her face. Looks a little bit less worried than the Annie face, but the same details here, the same window with the kind of the slanted top, arched roof, hook and loop coupler, buffers. Yeah, so that is Clarabelle. Okay, let's give a quick look here of the top and the bottom detail. Okay, so here's the top view of Clarabelle, or one of the coaches. We'll just take a look at one coach here, top and bottom, because they're identical from that perspective. These cars, if I didn't mention it, they're about 5.5 inches long, and Thomas, if I didn't mention it, was about 4.5 inches long. So anyway, so in the top here, we've got these kind of roof vents here. Again, just molded into the plastic, not functional, but you know, a detail that's molded into the plastic there. It's kind of an off-white roof, gloss paint. So yeah, just give you a look there. And then looking at the bottom, yeah, so absolutely no detail on the bottom of these cars. That's not necessarily a problem. I'm sure it's perfectly in line with the price point of these models here. But we got the Bachmann logo and all that corporate stuff stamped into the bottom of it. Got a couple screws in case you need to take it apart, make some repairs, whatever. And the single axle trucks here, those are metal wheels. So they add a little bit of weight and probably some, sound quality as they're rolling along the track. But yeah, hook and loop couplers, little springs in there. Again, very delicate stuff. Yeah, so both coaches look identical from the top and the bottom. So anyway, all right. Okay, before we do our final spin, let's just take a look at the back of the coaches that do not have the face. Pretty unremarkable, but again, just want to give you a look. It's basically we just have these kind of bracing supports here, these vertical bracing supports. Again, obviously no face, but just to give you a look at that, what the back of those coaches look like. All right, let's give Annie and Clarabelle one more spin. And there you have it, Annie and Clarabelle. All right, there you have it, a detailed look at traditional Thomas LBSC version number 70, Celebration Thomas, Annie, and Clarabelle. Let's take them for a run out on the layout.